Dan insisted on feeding those hogs table scraps and all the things that would go into the composter, as well as some good balanced dog food to keep them healthy. Now, you may not know this, but the smell of pig excrement is directly related to what they eat and their pen. Table scraps make them smell bad. I mean bad. I had to drive the four-wheeler back there every day to take care of them. And within a month, halfway there, my eyes would start watering and smell so bad. When we mucked out the pen with the bobcat, we also made the pile right next to the pen. I can't even imagine how bad the smell was living in that house. The neighbors, of course, freaked out, and again, without ever even trying to talk to us, went the legal route. They lost. The area was zoned agricultural, and my dad had done his homework to make sure he was breaking no laws or regulations. The pigs were far enough from us and our other neighbors that it didn't bother anyone, but the people he wanted it to bother. Come fall when winter moved in, we sold the pigs to slaughter, and Dad stacked up a bunch of
Mega love, shout out Leonard.
let the neighbors know we would be expanding the profitable operation in the spring, and they came out to scream at him.
Kumusta?
He smiled the whole time, speaking in a slow, steady way.
Ay, ako
The
naatok
new
ako.
neighbors sold their new house in January when the ground was frozen, and the new owners would not smell the pen. Though as soon as the old neighbors were gone, we tore down the enclosure, spread the nasty stuff on
Sisi ko
paper,
Sinet, mega love, shout out.
They were also great neighbors, and are still lifelong friends. Never mess with a rancher. There's no pleasing some people, so my dad let him take us to court. I later found out that Dad was using the time to save up some money, since he figured he would have to move the fence, and that was expensive, and he hoped maybe the neighbor would not push it that far. He'd come to work with him rather than go to all that cost.
Okay
I
ram.
know my dad reached out a couple
Dili
of
okay
times.
pareha deta kami po dagalisod.
Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.
Kay kanang ang imo bitong ticket imong dito atong una na nakuan wala ma kuan kaya nag problema me. Kaon man ana mo na. Sisi ko Sinit, salamat. May ano ba? May harang? Balik ko. Mega love, shout out Vince Sky Channel. Salamat bunso. Asinyat channel. Ngano man tita mo balik na di ay si tito sa ilaha. Kailangan kasi niya lumabas, kaso nga ano yung kuan kana na ang ticket niya una wala magamit kay pag abot mo dito sa airport gi cancel. Kaya palit na pumig-utro. Imbis usaray gasto na himong duha na himong upat. Kay himbayad pa mamay himbayad ko gahapon og visa hing abot og 75,000 hong kuanan gahapon. Balit. Sis Mabels, mega love, shout out to you, Sisi Koy, salamat. Kaya araw-araw sige alis, naayos mga papilis. Gusto. Dili ka sabog. Sabi ko sa pamangkin ko, sabi ko panay busy ako, gawa ng panay ayos doon sa papers ni kuya mo. Bunso, ni kuya mo, disi ba? Yung inayos yung ticket uli, tapos yung visa, in-apply naman uli, nagbayad ako ng yung anong tawag doon kasi na-expired nga, gawa nga nang hindi natuloy yung flight. Dahil wala, dili maripan ang ticket kasi nandoon na kami sa airport nung time na yun, nung September 24. Sis Mabels. Tapos alam mo ba kung magkano binayaran namin? Ang basta kay busy always. Oo. Umabot kami Leonard ng nasa 150 lahat, 150,000 lahat kasama ticket. Papuntang Amerika, tapos yung binayad ko sa immigration 75,000 kahapon. Kasi paso na siya eh. Mag-aral ka, mag-Bisaya servants, baka pag mga bakasyon ka sa Bisaya, makaintindi ka sa ilahang language. Kasi yan si Leonard Bunso. Lumaki dito sa Manila yan, malaki na yan, umuwi sa Bohol. Oh, nandyan. Guys, tamsakan nyo guys, yung kay Vince Kay channel guys. Tapos, ano, magulang niya, nagdesisyon na umuwi ng Bohol. O, lagi, sayang lagi. Imbis nga, yung pira namin, pang ano sa kuan, halos ano, sahod ni kuya mo, napunta lang doon sa, napunta lang doon. Siyempre, marami pang gastusan. Kaya ang hirap kaya. Tapos yung mga bata pa, may mga sakit. Ay nako, masakit talaga sa ulo. My mom is from Samar, pero dali ko kasabot, Bisaya. Mega love shout out si Sikoy. Donna Hilario, thank you so much. Happy birthday si Sikoy. Tamsak wasak. Salamat si Sikoy, Donna. Mahal naman bayad mo sa immigration, sis Mayang. O, ang mahal sis kasi ang daming mga proseso. Sobrang daming mga proseso. Gawa ng ano kasi, na-expired kasi dapat noong September 24, nakaalis na si asawa. Kaso, na ano na naman, na-cancel na naman uli. Na-cancel. Agoy, Ricky Rubens, ha, Shilmets. Oh, na-cancel. Di, pagka September 25, di na-expired na yung visa ng asawa ko na 3 years. Na-expired na. Di, nag-apply na naman ako uli. Ang mahal pala nung bayad ng ganyan. Mayroon nga isang resibo na 30,000 yung isang resibo lang. Ako kasi kahapon, bumalik na naman ako uli kahapon doon. Kaya mahirap pala pag ganyan. Hirap talaga. Sisikoy doon okay. Dan one. Thank you, Bunso. Kaya ang hirap. Dapat hindi sana ganun kasi hindi naman kasalanan ng asawa ko na kinansil nila yung flight. Ando na sa loob ng airport. Wala hindi pa na-refund. Nagkaroon pa kami ng problema, nagbayad pa kami sa immigration. Mahirap tong COVID na ito, yung care na ito. Agoy, hirap. Nakaka-stress, Binskay. Bunso, kala mo lang. Sobrang nakaka-stress. George, mega love shoutout. Huwag kang ma-stress, idol. Kain idol, break time. Sige po, salamat. Sisikoy Asinet, maraming salamat. Congrats, Binso. Laki na ng channel mo ah.
We need to get before we have to dig a footer, which would be another. We're not going to get that without a little more forward with a camera. I always call that camera the negotiator. Negotiator. But right there is a big boulder. Just fix it. You can get them to pick. And then you work around it. So we'll see. We won't know until we get it all, but I am glad I didn't bring the dozer because that is like nightmare. Wouldn't even do it.
Tignan mo kung may mainom sa papa mo, lagyan mo pala, wala palang mainom yan. Walang alaman, meron. Sigurado ka?
Trees are just gonna be like a little island. We can't get that out. It's all rock anyways, but that was part of the play. To get a little steeper on that tractor garage. Put some we're doing it.
Dan Juan. Sinong An? Si Sikoy. Doon. Done 2. Done 3. Wala akong StreamYard, sisikoy eh. Sana kung may StreamYard, wala akong StreamYard, naubos na. September, ano pa daw, September 27 ba yun magkaroon? Joy Bods, Mega Mega Love, shout out Jonathan Consuelo, thank you so much. Joy Bods, Jonathan. Tingnan mo si Itel Tos. Tingnan mo. Halika, tingnan mo sexy o tingnan mo, dali. Tingnan mo nga.
Sino yan?
Si Itel nga. Tingnan mo. Wow. Kita mo?
Ilan taon na ba yan?
Kasi edad ni Kuya AJ. Pinakita ko yung kapatid ni Banji. Ayan o. Tingnan mo yung kapatid ni Banjilin.
Bawal yan.
Di ah? Parang grabe yung suot eh. Maintain pa rin talaga niya yung katawan niya. Classmate Jonathan, sabi ni Sisi Koy Donna. Ganuan. Edmond official, Mega Mega Love, shout out Edmond. Ganuan. Anong oras ang umpisa nga mamaya pala? Kalimutan ko. Sa ano mo Sisi Koy Donna? 5 ba yun? Pakita sa asawa ko yung kapatid ni Banjilin. Kumusta po, host? Okay lang. Tingnan mo, pamangkin ko. Parang ano na eh. Sisi Koy Donna, yung kapatid ni Banjilin, tingnan mo. Parang nakahubad. Kita ko saglit. Sister Banjilin. Very sexy. Yeah, that's it. Very tall. My goodness. Sexy. Nagmo-model-model yan eh. Patay di Bajilin. Done for. Sos, Ginoo ko Maria Josep, Santissima, Edmond, official. Giatay. Madlo ka buta rin gingon. Dan tamsak sa premier to. Ganyan ka din siguro host noong kabataan. Ginawa ko giatay. Sana all. Hala, doktora. Kumusta, doktora? Ngayon lang ako naka-live, doktora. Giatay, sobrang ka. Anuhan ka, bisihan, doktora. Edmond. Official. Ikaw, doktora, marami ka ba pasyente dyan? Ay. Crystal Pet Arellano, Mega Love, shoutout, good afternoon. Mapa man siguro yung pagmata ni Inday Crystal Pet, kay good morning man. Dan Tamsak Vince Premier. Salamat, Day Crystal Pet. Premier 3. Wala masyado Kahapon nandyan ako, kahapon doktora Manila, nandyan ako kahapon. Joy Bots. Afternoon na pala. Hindi na malayan ng oras. Ayan guys, tusukin nyo rin si Edmond guys. Grabe ka sexy ni Batitil eh. Isisend ko sa kapatid ko isa. Busy sa laba ate. Oo nga eh. Ako nga eh. Ngayon dapat kanina pa ako nag-live eh. Masama pakiramdam ko kaganina. Nagpahilot ako sa anak ko. Hirap. Sabi ko, ilutin mo nga muna ako.
No luck on the laser. You guys probably take that big rock out. We're making the grade there. Ready to go to lunch. With it with a genie bottle. Oh, genie, please have some pretty girl.
Dan Lucky. Dan 1, 2, 3, Jonathan.
Oh my Lord, I think my wish come true. What do we have here?
Joy Boys.
The new TR700 Dartball.
Si Jonathan tatlo.
Nice and nice. Well, I guess I'm going to take her to lunch now. Say hi to the guys. Awesome. So we got the
Jonathan.
700 and the 600, the newer version, and they only held me up in about an hour. So perfect. Still was cut and grade, but you know, just going by eye.
So Jonathan tatlo.
Alright, all hooked up. I'm with batteries. Awesome. Green light was good. We're good to go. It's the updated version. So
Salamat sa 4 million guys.
it never happened before. And I dug the mail, so I don't know what happened. I really don't. I'll probably find out when I edit the video. I'll know exactly where it come off. And I'm sure if I search hard enough, like I said, time is money. I couldn't spend it this day here looking for it. So just checking where I was already grading. Everything was dead nuts. I did that by eye. Right there. We're good. Nice. All right. It could have been a boulder too. When I come up like this, I come up with a big rock and maybe a fucking shot it out backwards when I loaded the truck. I don't know. I can't think about it anymore. But right now, I'm gonna unload the boot section. Oh, out of the hill. Regular grade, the drainage, way to the building. You gotta remember, I got this laser set.
Dan for, mega sure all, sabi ni Bunso. Dan for Jonathan.
So we'll have plenty of fish to work with. Even if I'm switching high over here, the rocket
Dunali, nagpapasalon ka ba? Nasa salon siguro si Sikoy.
over here,
Jonathan.
which something I can do about that. I can just take down the wood line.
Nagpaganda yan para mamaya. Bunso,
Take it down, we need the building and make it look right. And
Jonathan. Si Sikoy Donna.
obviously you can take down all this here, but then you have a speed instead of
Nakahiga pa ako.
right here.
Mega love shoutout si Lambingin Channel. Joy Bods sa Lambingin Channel.
Even
Salamat, Lambingin. Thumb shake.
he had a rocky job though over the summer. That veterinarian clinic was all rock. But this stuff those are friendly enough. Like I said, normally I would just bring those and I wouldn't even leave them. Not a big distance that I'm going at all.
Kikay Colette, mega love shoutout. ML is o din sa'yo, Lambingin Channel.
Not for everybody. It also depends on what you have for equipment. You know, a lot of people don't have this little off-road truck. Really handy piece of equipment.
Antok na host. Antok sana, kaso kailangan mag-live. Namumula na. Dan Peba. Dan shared. Dan sa pusa ni Asinit. Okay, Asinit yan, number 5. Si Joy Bod pa.
Just a little bit more.
Bakit ka tumatawa? Joy. Bakit kahihaw tumawagid haw? Natawa ka gid sa pagbanggit ko gid. Pangkapitim, ganda, love. Salamat si Sikoy Arcele. Grabe talaga ni siya. Ay, siging palipad. Ako, laki na ng utang ko.
On the right side, if we put the building where it's supposed to go. So, building's supposed to line up with this other structure, which would be, we have this monster, and he's trying poking and prying on the other side.
Ang tagal ng panahon si Sikoy. Ngayon lang ako tawag dito, naka-live.
So, in order to get, we have to dig out that.
Dan Stone, Ilonggo, present here.
So obviously we need a hammer one way or the other. That's not budging.
Ay, ginawa pa.
And it's gonna have to make big rocks and little rocks. We'll discuss the homeowner, see what it is. But let's take a look at the project real quick. Big shout out to John.
Wala utang ko eh.
Right here.
Ay, Diyos ko, sige lang ako isip si Sikoy. Live. Hindi naman na maka-live. Daming utos.
That one's buried somewhere on
Daming utos, boss.
right there. JC Smith. You guys-
Dando na at Vince. Yun, nakatatlo na si Bakikay.
They just built a whole new branch. And for Tony, they turned down their boss. They got the best price now for all buildings. That's what they got. Tools, hand tools, all kinds of stuff. Let's get you see what this project is all about. All right, so here's a slab.
Sis Arcela, MLSO.
36.
Kikay, sabi ni si Sikoy Arcele.
Little cat door on the side. And it's a big little acme slab like this. 2-foot launch.
Ate Arcele, sabi ni Vince kay, ha, tawa si Kuya doon. Ang hirap nga si Kuya doon, akala mo lang. Doon ang gwapa, good luck mamaya. Vince kay, thank you sis Arcele. Sabi ni si Kuya Donnie.
That yellow building right there. This pond actually.
B-vlog, mega mega love, shout out, tamsak sa bangs. Di atay bangs, Jod.
Here, things will craze up. And we are going to walk it over and put it on our new slab. So this is the building.
Oh.
2 course and a half a block on top of the elastic slab.
Dan 6.
That is the main plan. That's what makes this project so interesting. Is
Big block,
this building
in
being
sky.
and moved over and set on our new slab. So at day 1.
Dan 1 to 6. Mega mega love, shout out 10, Briobo. Ha, buti ka pa nga, nakapile. Ngayon nga lang talaga, be. Ang tagal na, be. Kikay 1 to 6, tatlo na lang. Nalista ko na yung Kikay, yung tatlo.
See, this is that blue rock, the hardest rock on the earth. Red Sox County gray last week. So they shipped this stuff. There's quarries here that ship this
Dan
stuff
5.
around the world. That's no lie.
Ate 10, wasarat, sabi ni Bunso.
But that one right there, see that one will break.
Doon na.
Two different rocks right there.
Mega mega love, shout out, James. Ednaleg. Number 7.
So they got splits in them, and this one will break. So they got purples and blues in there. This is the shell. And she's already split.
Haha, Vince.
She'll break.
Dan sa nakapen. Salamat si Sikoy. Tatlo yan si Sikoy.
Well,
Arcel.
that's day 1 first cut. We'll see what day
Pati
2
nagbubuan.
brings. You guys in the loop.
Arcel.
That's in the next one.
Arcel. Dan 6 si Joy. Anong kinain mo dyan si Sikoy? Twelve 12:44 na kami. Kanina kumain 11 ata yun. Dance ka pa pa. Dance. No abla. You feeling not good feeling. You not feeling good not feeling. Bihon. Wow, sarap bihon. Sisikoy doon na. Naan may kalitos. Maano ako dito ay. Ka talaga nag-isip ba? Dona Polpak. Sabi ni B-Vlog. Ang ating birthday girl si Sikoy Donna Hilario. James Danwan. Lakasan mo pa to. Pag nakapiright ako dito, tamaan ka talaga sa akin. Tignan mo lang. Vince Polpak. Wow, nangisda ang bruha. Si Joy Dan 7. James Dan sa 2 premier. Irene Marie. Number 8. Irene. Dan Vince. Singit-singit lang kung sino inaabutan ko kasi di talaga ako makapag-focus sa waiting ngayon. Tapos na yung bahay mo, no? Be, tapos na yung bahay mo, be? Buti ka pa. Ay, hindi pa rin. Pahinga nga ng lipstick din dito sa bag ko. Kaya tingnan mo nga dyan. Namumutla na yung labi ko eh. Dan, asinit. Nilipatan ko lang kahit di pa tapos. Bakit yung tinirahan mo ba noon, be? Nag-umupa ka ba doon? James Ignani. Nag-upa ka ba doon dati? Yung sa tinirahan mo dati? Wala na. Ano? Wala ko pang upa kaya nilipatan ko na. Nag-upa ka pala dati, be? 4 lang yun, 3.5 ang buwan. Apartment. Kunin mo yung slip bag ko. Yung sa ano mo na yun? Nag-upa ka pala nun. Sayang naman kung kaya nalipatan. Tama lang yung ginawa mo. Sayang yung pera na iupa mo kung kaya naman tirahan na. Pag-init ka tubig doon. Timplahan ko please papa mo at saka ako dali.
And that's what the guy at the center of this story points out to David Lazarus. His name is Steve Schler.
Chani Bek Bek, Mega Mega Love, shut up.
He says, it's been years since I've even been a subscriber. So he lives in Altadena.
What lagi ari kang lipstick dito?
Saying that this is the COVID as a one-time courtesy.
Lagay man lang ng papula-pula sa labi ko, antay. Mangutla na yung labi ko.
If he agrees to resume cable service. But they call it a one-time courtesy.
3.5 a month, mahal din pala. Salamat Chani Bek Bek. Chani Bek Bek dan tamsak Irene Premier.
Now they do say, and this again is another quote, a well-established will likely allow you to qualify.
Tanggal na. Pumula 2009, umuupa lang kami.
Tanggalin ko na ba to?
Huwag mo tanggalin yan. Ito, okay na.
Dali, nalagyan ng tape. Di naman gagana yun eh.
Bahala ka sa buhay mo. Uy, naririndi na ako sa'yo. Malaki rin yun, be. 2009. Laki din pala, no? Dan Arceli.
Such as, you made a nice life for yourself. Be ashamed of someone happened. A spokesperson for Spectrum said yes.
Tama lang talaga yung ginawa mo, be. Ako, kung ako ganon, ako, lilipat ako. Sayang lang yung 3.5 upa. Biruin mo, 2009 ka pa pala umupa. Laking pera na yun. Bakit ba kasi hindi ko pa nakuha yung face mask ko? Walang walang wag mong lagyan coffee mate. Kahit gatas mong lagyan, black coffee lang.
And cease reporting it to any credit bureau. Of course, the question is if you don't have any debt, how will they remove it?
Lalagyan siyempre.
And if you don't have
Irene
debt, why are
Dan
you reporting it to
Pulpa.
the credit bureau? So there's two problems there. So
Big lang.
Mr. Schler said it seems like corporate blackmail. The letter is filled with real and implied threats. And of course, Mr. Schler says he does not owe.
Ang sarap dyan sa inyo, be, di ba? Pampanga ka. Ang ganda dyan, anuhan, be. Marami kaya mga YouTuber dyan. Nangunguha sila ng mga isda. Sarap pumunta dyan. Kani Bek Bek, Dan 5.
Wala alam din kung
Cease reporting, implying that they are in fact reporting now.
tanggal naman yan din.
So the question is, were they doing anything?
Pagkatanggal yan ngayon, punta na naman tayo bukas, sabi ni ate.
Tanggal naman na. Papaano ko to? Pupunta tayo doon. Batulagyan ko to ng madaming tape.
May bisiha, pero malapit kami sa dam ng Arayat, Pampanga. Correct. Ha? Huwag mo na, hayaan mo lang ganyan, naka-ano? James. Ha?
Tatanggal naman natin.
So it does
Tingin?
come across as a threat. Now, Mr. Lazarus points out that this suggests the company is
Diba,
not
nakadikit
actually
lang sa damit?
reportedly unpaid bills.
Iipit ko lang.
And if that's the case,
Hindi pa naman tanggal dito, kabila, dito lang natanggal, ito na lang, oh.
Hindi, tanggal na yun.
Dito, hindi tanggal.
Tanggal na yun. Naaangat nga eh.
Bahala ka.
Ginagad ko nga lang damit ko.
Kumita.
Para maipit.
So, the reporter of the Los Angeles Times contacted Spectrum and requested some clarification. And
Ang daming mga pinapanood ko sa ano.
Discuss the details of Schler's situation. Of course not, but we speak this in general. Well, he said letters like the one that this they received are sent to numerous former customers who may have billing issues. May. The letters are intended to help indebted people find their way back into the financial life. He said the offer eliminates their past due balance and stops reporting of that debt to any credit bureau, both good things to the consumer, and yes, invites them to reconnect with Spectrum at a promotional price. So, giving the company the benefit of the doubt, Mr. Lazarus says, good, Spectrum is to waive the outstanding debt and help them maintain good credit, but that still gets you back to the idea that this appears to be a threat. And so, he says, no matter how you read it, it still comes across as aggressive. And again, key line here is, when you become a customer, you will both remove your debt
Sino titira?
and cease reporting it to any
Sino
credit
titira
bureau.
dyan kung lipat ka na doon? Lipat ka bruha. Paupahan ko, abe,
And I guess you can
para may
also say
ano
it's a
ako,
third
income.
Because it kind of sounds like if you don't play ball with us, we might report you. Now, it doesn't say that in some words, but you do kind of get that impression. So,
Paupahan, be.
no return is expected.
Para may pambili ako electric.
Keep going after you with the credit
Dan
score.
Irene, James.
So as it reads that, I do believe that's an accurate reading. Now, most people read that. So he says it's not a promotional offer, that's a shakedown.
Para hindi ko na problemahin yung electric ko, sureball na.
There'd be more palatable
Dan
ways
6.
of dealing with and threatening fiscal harm unless he commits to giving the company money on a regular basis.
Johnny Big
In
Big.
case you're curious, the average cable bill in America is $116.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Lazarus asked Schler how he felt about Spectrum's response to the inquiries. He says they threatened to destroy my credit. That's
Oo.
that's
Dan 7 and 8, bakikay.
So, you know, what's bizarre is the competition in the cable industry is insane. I mean, it's just insane. And I got to, not to mention my roots, I don't feel the need to advertise anybody. But, you know, it's kind of expensive.
Dahan-dahan lang, oy.
But I also do have my internet with my cable company. So that probably raises the price.
Tapos mamaya sabihin mo na naman, ano, wala ka na bang ibababa? Tira ulo, 10. Rio.
About how cable companies operate, because they are a business that's regulated more heavily than the typical service. And I would think that they would avoid these kinds of financial shenanigans. But years and
Natatawa talaga ko kagapon kay. Out na ako ha, matulog muna ako. Puyat lagi sa iyak ng apo ko. Apo pa more. Si Koy Sally Tribino, mega love, share at salamat, be.
Sold out smooth. So I remember calling the end of my service. And I said, okay, end of this month after last bill, you've got to turn your cable box in because you've been renting that from us. So I unplugged the box and I walked in and I handed it to somebody. And they handed me a receipt and I walked out. And 7 years later, I got
Dan share. Salamat si Koy.
And I'm reading the letter and I'm going, who are these people? So I didn't recognize the name of them.
Ano yung tinatrabaho nyo si Koy?
7 years ago.
Saan yun? Sa munisipyo nyo yun? Sa munisipyo nyo? Yung pag tuwing nagla-live ka, nanonood ako eh. Yung mga, ano yung mga gulayan? Nagluto ng atay. Kanibik-bik.
And I answer the phone. I say, hi, I'm Steve Lake. You get me letter. I go, what's your account number?
Sa Duli yun. Galing si
I go, when did you show that my service ended? Reads off the date.
Sa Duli.
I go, okay, can you explain to me why you just sent the first letter a month ago saying that I didn't turn my cable box when I did?
Kasi naka-uniform pa kayo eh. School garden yun, si Koy, pinapalinisan sa amin, napabayaan na kasi. Grabe, pinlagay mo asukal, paglitos. Tamis. Pero dumadaan sa City Hall, mga project. Galing ah.
And the problem with that is that Michigan and United States have laws. Federal law state on debt collection, but it only applies to third-party debt collection. So somebody who claims that you owe them the money directly can violate the debt collection laws because they don't apply to them. And so I'm using a violator in the sense of
hanggang October 26 na lang kami, graduate na eh.
Sending me that letter after they used the letter was false.
Pero may sahod kayo doon.
But it was simply given. And why they decided 7 years later that it's for a cable box, I don't know. Screw up in their system, some. But I got.
May sahod kayo, wala.
There's nothing to do about it. But who knows? So cable companies are odd.
Sabihin niyo sa akin pag magbaba uli ha. Para makahabol yung iba ba, antayin natin.
And not so long ago, I had issues with my internet. My internet.
Meron si. Kaya nasa 7,500 sa orin ko. Wow! Sana all.
One day, 2 weeks ago, I was uploading a video and I was watching.
Galing.
I was normally just going to work straight across and put videos online. The progress bar wasn't moving. And it did the math and it says most cities upload in 5.5 hours, which is a problem. Normally it's a matter of minutes and hours. So you time to stop watch, not stop. So I decided to call my cable. What's going on?
Ako, sus, kung ako lang, kung mayroon lang yan dito, nako, magtrabaho ako. Hindi naman isang buong araw, di ba? Saglit lang naman. Tiyaga ako kahit ang sakit ng katawan ko. Ako, pag mga ganyan trabaho, easy lang sa akin yan. Sanay kasi ako eh. Kanibik-bik.
But while all this is going on, I did.
James Dunkicks. Meron yan, nationwide si Koy. Wala man sinabi dito? James.
And shortly thereafter, my speed went back up again. And I got a note saying the maintenance has been completed.
Sila Hansnell sa Aurora, natupad din. Nagtupad din sila. Sa City Hall ka magtanong. Sa City Hall pala. Ilang oras naman yon? Ilang oras yung trabaho? Morning lang, ganyan? Oo nga. 4 hours a day. Sos, ginoo ko 4 hours lang pala. Sos, kiring-kire ko yan. Dito nga sa akin, maghapon magtrabaho ako. Bigat. Mabigat pa yung simento. Yan 4 hours lang, nako. Ngayon kasi wala na kaming trabaho doon, tiles na lang eh. Pinahinto ko pa muna, ngayon lang November magbalik. Wala ng pera. Binayad sa immigration.
Thank you for watching Leto's Law.
Inuna muna namin yung immigration. Kasama ticket. O sikoy sanay ka na. Mag-construction. Oo nga. Inuna namin yung ticket at saka bayad. Sali, sabi ni Sikoy daw na. Kaya sa November ulit naramaho. Advance congrats ate do na mamaya sa Grand Elias mo, sabi ni Sikoy Sali. Yahoo yahoo. Dito din sa amin may tupad. Ang galing ni James mayroon din sa inyo. Pero nakasali ka James hindi.
I got a lot of essays for school, but I also write sales.
Tupad ang pangalan pala niyan, tupad.
Grammarly is a game changer for me at work. I also learn it for social media posts. I connect with candidates on my tweets,
Message boards.
my resume, cover letter.
I write superhero fan fiction.
I got Grammarly to help me write better for work, but now I'm using it just as much in my personal life.
It's been so useful for school, but it might even be more useful when it started working with you. You install it for free, and then it's just there, helping you right there.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the new episode of Cars Flash. I don't work here, ladies. In this episode, we have 3 more new stories. And warm up to start with this one. A woman wants me fired from somewhere I don't work without actually speaking to her. This takes place in a care home where I was visiting relocation. We call her Ruby instead. Ruby was basically bedridden and often napped while she had visits. She also had a sweet tooth and loved her ice cream. When she was sleeping, when I bought ice cream for her, I had permission to use the fridge in the day room to store them. Visitors could also get themselves a drink there for themselves and those they were visiting. Ruby
May maliit ka?
this does play a role. I went to visit Ruby with some ice cream. I signed the visit.
Kailangan pa ba yung ganyan mag-apply ka pa? Kailangan pa ganyan mag-apply?
By the woman at the time. She helped to nudge past.
Done one.
I put my bag down and went for the ice cream in the day room. As I passed the next room, the door opened and the woman looked out. I nodded and went on my way. I chatted to one of the staff Ruby and returned to her room.
Mega love shoutout si Sikoy Wellen Journey. Bakit mo iniris? Naka-off si Kikay. Pangalawang baba ko yan, James. Sali 2.
And as I was finding out, the woman left the office and pointed me out to the manager of the home who looked puzzled. The woman stormed back.
Done sa nakapin. Done sa nakapin si Wellen. Wellen Johnny. Wellen Johnny.
She'll also try to get you fired from your janitorial position. And our next one.
Wellen Johnny. Ayan, tatlo si Koy. Jonathan 789. May mga nag-iikot, nagbibigay ng form galing Jonathan, tatlo.
She grew up in a simple neighborhood with her aunt because her dad wanted her to know what that life was like, the life he grew up with.
Jonathan.
She stayed humble and simple all throughout the years that we've been friends, even when she went back to the luxurious life that her parents wanted her to have. We met when we were 5, and now we're 23, and our bond is stronger than ever. Back to the present. I've always stayed at her shop almost every day.
Done 3.
But the baristas and staff basically know me as friends, just as how they treat best friends like a friend. The mornings are always the busiest times, and whenever she and the staff are having a hard time,
Sarap ng ganyan. Ay, gusto ko talaga yung magtrabaho sa yung... Dati kasi sa pabrika ako nagtrabaho. Simula nag-asawa, wala na. Construction na lang. Sarap kasi ganyan magtrabaho ka na may mga kasama ka. Dan, Irene Marie.
My best friend was
Saan?
behind the counter organizing the pastries, and I was cleaning a table, but I suddenly heard an entitled voice say, "Hey, can you bring this table up?" I turned to see where the
Dan,
voice came from, and behold, right there, sitting on my best friend's cushion chair like it's hers, with her feet on the low table.
Dan
I
Kikay.
wanted to scream.
Ayang, miga love, shout out si Koy.
My best friend's reputation being tarnished, so I calmed
Very
myself
good.
down and smiled at her. While wiping the table with a cloth, I gently but loudly told her to wait just a moment.
Siya ni
When I came to where Karen was seated, I was all smiles.
Si Sale Tribino.
Sorry about that. I clenched my jaw hard because of how she interrupted while I was talking. David's pet peeve. And with her sickening sarcastic voice, she spoke again. Karen, would you please be a sweetie and get my order from me? So I asked her what her order was. Karen, caramel macchiato with no sugar and more ice. So I went to the counter and asked the barista if the macchiato was already done. He looked at me confused and said, nobody orders a macchiato. So I went back to Karen.
Dan sis Inday.
Karen flipped her tongue and looked at me meditatively.
Sale.
You're supposed to make the order. She almost wanted to swing at her head. Hey, oh, man, I'm not
Dan
authorized to
10
do
of
any orders
comments.
as a cashier. I don't actually work here. You have to make the orders by the counter. Karen, oh, Rick, you don't work here. Why were you
Dan
cleaning the
Kik.
table? Where's this man? I need to work.
Dan Kik.
But man, like, don't work here. Karen, oh, stop it with your lies. Where's the
Kung
man?
ilan na ba?
Please, Michael.
Kay Kuya Prani na sunod. Number 11 na sunod.
Oh, you're reprimanding me now? Don't you know that my husband is a supervisor of best friend's group of companies? He is close to the father of the owner of this place. I could have you fired for disrespecting me. Just then, I hear the firm voice of my best friend. Yeah, what seems to be the problem, man? Karen's face lights up.
Jonathan, Dan, and 10,
Karen
11.
explains how rude I was when she
Dan
called me
1.
here and she asked of me, and that I was being lazy. After Karen's explanation, Tina put her hand on my back and told me to go to the counter for now. Then I just needed to
Jonathan.
tell the barista to prepare Karen's drink.
Ayang.
Karen smiled, leaned back on the chair the moment that BF turned around, satisfied. Not even greeting the chilly atmosphere.
Dan
Well,
11.
BF is nice. And it's just that you should probably avoid being on her bad side. It's always scary when BF is angry. What's funny, though, is that the regulars that were onlookers know how BF gets angry. Right at that moment, they were all silent, probably feeling sorry for Karen already. I hear the barista notified BF that Karen's drink is
Pababa ng 4, 5, 6. Okay.
He hadn't answered her to Karen.
Kanino nga ba yung
She
4, 5,
had
6?
also smirked at BF and lectured her. Here, next time, choose your step wisely. Don't let it slide.
Ka lang, habulin ko dito nga ha.
Karen looks
Kanino ba yung 4, 5, and 6? Kalimutan ko.
when I was leaving. BF.
9, 8, ka lang. Number 5. Kanino tong 5?
The barista beside me was getting anxious because BF was talking calmly to Karen.
Ah, lucky pala si number 4.
Karen, what are you? Yeah. The
Kay Lucky pala.
smirked as I saw Karen flinch. She looked wide-eyed at BF. BF.
Si Swellen Journey, Jonathan Consuelo, Kikay Kulit TV.
If your husband
Siya ni Big Big. Tika lang si Sikoy Sali ha.
I remember all the people that are close to my father, including their wives. So, what was the name of this husband of yours?
Si ano, si
Started spitting fire.
si Lucky.
Please, do yourself a favor and do not come back here. Because if you do, the moment that I see your face inside my shop, I will not hesitate on teaching you a lesson for humiliating my best friend. I can and will sue you for harassment. Karen, what? Wait, you said get the hell out. Yeah, gives her a really sweet and professional smile and gestures towards the door. Yeah, will you please kindly have off? Karen stomps out of
Ito yung 5.
Not even bothering to pay for her drink. Best friend knew that I would never do anything to stain her name, and she knew immediately that Karen was telling lies so that we have to take her side, not knowing that she was busted the moment she started explaining her side to my best friend.
Hindi.
And our next story. Today's chief should ask first. Many years ago, I was private on transit through a major airport. For the background first, this was Canada, and most east-west transportation takes place near the border with the U.S. I was moving from an isolated station in the far northwest of the country, going on a 6-month detachment in an even more isolated station in the far northeast of the country. So my travel was a giant cube going south and east and north on 3 separate days. Because it was winter, and the first and last legs were on cargo planes, they were given permission to travel in working uniform and Arctic gear, not dress uniform. This greatly saved space in the duffel bag since we didn't need to carry the great coats and dress shoes and stuff.
Saglit lang guys, saglit lang.
Got the keys to my transient room and dumped my bag. Time to head to lunch to mess hall. Mess hall was on the map of the transient room. If it's November, I'm wearing my parka. I was about halfway there when a big black official looked
Ayan, si Sikoy Sali, ayan.
in front of me and out stepped 6 foot 8 inches of full dress uniform.
Jonathan, nalista ko na yan.
Foreign officer.
Nalista ko na. Ayang 2.
Cross sword say face.
Ayang 3.
Which means he is the
Dalawa kay
ranking
Ayang.
CEO of the multi-thousand person base and the person responsible for dress, equipment, and discipline in non-office. That. He is me, go with it below. CWO is advisory guy.
Ayang
I snap to
James.
attention as soon as I see his markings. He's towering over me on the
Coffee
side.
time. Sige, si Sikoy.
He proceeds to give me a long dressing down while I'm silently trying to figure out why. But don't interrupt.
Dan Prane.
Partway through the tirade, when he talks about routine orders, I realize he figures I'm a resident of this base. I'm not. I've never seen his order. Since I've only been
Dan
around for 2 hours
Prane.
and have no awareness of
Ayang
the
Dan 9. 10, Dan 12.
highway bisecting it. The area of the north side is operations with runways, hangars, and the like. The south side is domestic with higher
Rio.
expenses and administration. It seems that the parka I'm wearing is only allowed on the operations side. I should be wearing the great coat, which is back at my own
Dan
station.
sis Ayang.
CWO winds up his high volume chastisement by saying, I have a good mind to give you extra duty. Hey, my first
Dan
Very
10.
good, sir, if you wish. But it will have to be this afternoon. Yes, I know, I should have used sir, but I was CWO. Why?
Dan 12.
Because tomorrow at 7 a.m. I fly out for 6 months and I learn. CWO, pulling it.
Dan Asinet.
CFS Innovate? No way. He just climbed into his car and drove away. I continued walking away. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.
Dan 11. Si Sally, Dan 11. Ayaw. BG says, maya pakain mo lang alaga. Sige, sige, sige. Walang problema. Salamat si Sikoy. Sally. Number 10. Dan Lucky.
Welcome guys, welcome back to the channel. Pause button right now, get down with car. Tell me what this thing is. I'll tell you what it is.
Dan 4.
To our roller reef towers project. It's drug out for well over a year now to save the set of run.
Welcome to r/malicious compliance, where we share stories of people conforming to the letter, but not the spirit of request. And today we have two great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story. Evil girlfriend tried to steal a car from her boyfriend. Had him beat up, but a friendly Karen helped get it back. The second story. Woman did not want to pick up the delivery, and I received a lot of food for 2 weeks. On to the first story. That's not your car, lady. So this happened around 2008. My buddy Brock had gotten out of the military after 10 years. He'd started in the Marines, but transitioned into the Army for the last 4 years, before buying a house in Texas. When he got out, he did a variety of jobs before landing a gig with a repo service. He worked there for a year and had a lot of wild stories, but this one sticks out the most, as he helped a fellow soldier get revenge on the evil ex. Brock was at the office speaking with his manager, whom all refer to as Karen. Now, this particular Karen had a lot of Karen-like qualities, but was a force for good if you can believe that. While they were talking, they see a young man enter the office. They immediately notice he had two black eyes, and an arm was in a sling. The young man, whose name I unfortunately never learned, but I'll call Ben, asked how hard it would be for him to help repossess his car. Karen called her daughter, Karen Jr., and had her pour Ben a cup of coffee. Karen then asked Ben to tell her a story. Ben began with telling her that he had just returned from a deployment. He had been dating a local girl that lived outside the famous Fort Hood. Not a good idea, by the way, before the deployment. Thanks to a previous deployment, he had managed to get himself a used black Dodge Charger, which was his baby. He further explained that shortly after buying the car, he had met the local girl, who for the sake of the story I'll call Morgan. Morgan was always asking to drive his car, but he would always decline. When he was getting ready for his deployment, Morgan repeatedly asked if she could borrow the car, but he kept saying no. After much needling, he relented, but on the condition that she take care of his apartment until he comes back from rest and relaxation leave. She agreed. Ben left for his deployment while Morgan took care of his place. When Ben came back for leave, he found his apartment immaculate.
Siya ni Bekbek. YouTube, hobbies, interest, maayong adlaw. Mega mega love, shout out to you.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories
Pam
About
param pam 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 pam
I
pam.
don't think anyone would like it if you were removing snow from the common
Due
area
to
and your neighbors were just watching.
this.
In the first story, we'll tell you how to deal. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day.
Hindi na naman pumasok. Hindi ate.
Never shovel the
Hindi
shared
na naman
driveway.
pumasok.
Have fun digging out your cars.
Naman pumasok.
A few years ago, I rented a home with some friends. Two homes shared the same driveway, both homes owned by the same landlord. The driveway had a common entrance, then forked left from my home, right from the other home to the respective parking areas. It was a snowy region, yet after each snowstorm, we failed to ever see a hint of the neighbor. Two people lived in that home.
12:13.
Only after the driveway was cleared by us. We had to clear it to get our own cars out so we could let the snow sit while we waited for them to act. I think our neighbors thought us quite reliable. We knocked on the door when we knew they were home to ask for a hand. The door was never answered. And left a few notes in the mailbox that they had some with physical disability to let us know
Pumasok
we
pa
not
kayo
ask
ng
for help
simpulan na
sheltering
yung signal ni.
Didn't complain to the landlord with something so trivial. Many snowstorms came and went without a single shovelful moved by our lazy neighbors. They probably were even fined for not removing snow from the sidewalk in front of their house, while we kept ours clear and salty. A blizzard rolled in. It took my housemates and I a monumental amount of time to clear the snow. It was deep, the heavy, wet snow. Again, we sought assistance from the neighbors, but were ignored. Thus, we went to work with our petty revenge plan. All the snow in the driveway was merely moved out of the way and was purposely brought over to our neighbor's parking area.
Ang signal. Si Ma'am Geraldine to.
There was a significant amount of snow in the air. Their vehicles disappeared under the enormous mound. It was beautiful. If only freezing rain had added a nice iced crust to make it even more radiant and difficult to remove. Needless to say, neighbors were pissed. We kindly answered their angry knocks, listened to the ranting and seething. We merely shrugged our shoulders and said we would appreciate some help several snowstorms ago, which would have prevented such an act. They left, complained to the landlord, who seemed somewhat impressed we put up with him for so long, and merely reminded them that snow removal was a tenant responsibility. Each snowstorm after that, when our shovels began to scrape the pavement, the neighbors silently, grudgingly came out. We didn't make them do it alone, but having more bodies to move snow made it a much faster, easier job for all of us. We earned a small, petty victory for the rest of the long, snowy winter. And our second story, the Christmas ornaments Robin Hood. It's 2020, unfortunately. It's the day after my two younger sisters and I flew out to Pennsylvania to see my dad, who lives there after getting divorced by my mom for 15 years of not being a good husband or dad. He lives with his mom, cranky grandma,
O comments din.
as well as my amazing aunt.
Ano ba yan?
Dad gets home from work.
Ay, nako. Puro comments kasi may mga bata eh.
She's in the basement, cranky grandma says, probably throwing in a snide comment or two about the newly dyed purple hair adorning my head, or the leather fingerless gloves that have joined my black wardrobe.
Ito na kay.
Christmas ornaments. Dad goes down the basement stairs and finds me rummaging through cardboard boxes. What are you looking for? He says. Hi, Dad, I said. Well, I'm
Done one.
but you're missing a few things. Where
Binura ko na ano, Joy.
the mooses are
Hindi niya yung makikita eh.
been put up every Christmas since I can remember. They're brown, about 2 feet tall, and soft as a marshmallow. There's Mama Moose, who's named Mary,
Pero lilista ko pa rin kayo.
Christmas, and is in a red velvet sack reading Merry Christmas on it in golden embroidery. The mooses always go on the couch.
Kayong dalawa ni ano.
And all the decorations and presents in it.
Ate Nore, mega love shoutout. Kumusta ka na? Ang tagal-tagal ang panahon. Kung pabayaang nakasaksak yung laptop mo magtagal ha, pag puno na yung battery, tanggalin mo na. Nga ka talaga, hindi ka na talaga bilhan. Pag masira pa yun uli. Pangalawang laptop na yan. Baka mamaya hindi pa abutin isang linggo, sira na. Manuel, kunin mo nga yung ano dyan, mangga dyan, kaya pagkainin ko ka papa. Dali mo dito, iwain ko. Kalimutan ko pala, wala palang tangalian yan. Ukra lang kinain yan. Ayun, dalawa. Dan 14. Dan 13. Kamping ka doon, sa kakutsilyo. Sali. Daan lang, tamsak lang ako sa iyo. Salamat, Ate Nore. Sali. Sali, and James. Pagdala ka ng kutsara dito. Sara, pati kutsilyo, bilisan mo. Kaya may ginagawa pa ako dito, Dan 14. Dan 14. Iwan ko, hindi ko alam.
Suitcases somehow 3 pounds over the weight limit. That's it. Grab one of the suitcases that already went through and open it up. We'll put some of younger sister's stuff in there. He gestures to my suitcase. My mind makes an ear-splitting screeching noise, and it sounds like someone slammed their brakes to avoid hitting the pterodactyl, and hit the pterodactyl anyway.
Paghuwat. Okay na. Ako muna mauna. Saglit lang.
My brain
10,
imagines
16.
opening the suitcase and going into a rage at the sight of the bosom. My voice says, "Sure, Dad." My hand
Okay na.
grabs younger sister's suitcase instead of mine and passes it over. Dad opens it. Her suitcase contains no smuggled goods.
Laki.
Checks the stuff, and the very nice airport lady sends all the bags down the conveyor belt. Dad asks me why I waved to mine. I shrug. Just being weird, I say. Good luck, please, my mind says. We're back home, my family, my older sister who didn't go with us, Mom, my other
Merinda,
grandma,
sir.
and my papa.
Pura lang kinain ng tanghalian mo. Ah,
I say, I'm disappointed you took the treatment already.
ito lang.
Older sister laughs. It's past New Year's. I know, I say, but I brought some stuff to put on. I open my suitcase. I show her around the ornaments. I snuggle back.
I don't want
Three
you to
tiny stuffed snowmen.
be hungry.
That's catnip stuffed cat ornament. A white clay angel. A wooden rock.
That's the land, okra. And oh my God, ayun that. Ours is eggplant. That's 11:30.
A wooden mouse pig. A clay snowman. My older
Sabi ko na eh.
sister's dog. But I am very
Nakakatakot yung kutsilyo mo. Kalimutan nga niya na pag tanghalian na yun kaya 11:30 kasi kami nakukumain. Nasanay kasi siya sa Jonathan. Nasanay siya na kumakain kami ng alas 12:30.
How did you get those back here under Dad's nose? Older sister asks. Maga laughs so hard she has tears in her eyes. The tears in Mom's eyes.
Tanong pa, kumain na ba daw kami ng tanghalian? Nabuang. Mana, tapos na kami kumain ng tanghalian. Ginoo, ganda rin mga bala eh. Sabi ko, tapos na tayo kumain ng ano tanghalian Ang amin ulam, yung tanim ko doon na na Papa Jing mabulay, Rado, mega love shout out. Dan 14. Salamat, Papa Jing.
It was an absolute wreck, despite having a good engine, and I knew it would
10.
sell, but it was all she had to get. Not long after she had passed away, I was contacted by the welfare type agency she'd been getting support from. They said my mother's spouse and dependents were entitled to some money to help pay for final arrangement. I was happy to hear this as I had to pay for the funeral myself, and the expense had really hurt me. However, they didn't want to give the money.
Kikay James.
I was a year outside their range for commitment. Instead, since my parents had divorced an eternity ago, they wanted to give the money to my younger sister. My deadbeat sister, who'd run out on my mother while she was ill, stolen from her to buy some illegal stuff, and only showed up at her deathbed.
James.
They told me the money would go to her. I was torn over what to do.
Katawara po taning ang bana ang taon ay. Nangutana o kumain na ba daw kami ng tanghalian? Sabi ko, humana, tapos na. Litod ni kabata ba? Kinuha ko na yung mga talong ko doon kay ganito kahaba kayo. Haba. Kanibek-bek, bunga. Inawa namin pinirito. Sausaw sa tuyo na may tuyo. Makain ka ba niyan kay?
She tried to argue, and the three creepy dudes she had with her wanted to make a scene, but they couldn't do a thing while we stood in a crowded supermarket parking lot. As they drove off, I informed my friend that I'd been unable to find the title for the vehicle, and it was still registered under my mother's name, and was most certainly not in the glove box of that car. Additionally, my sister had an expired license and has a warrant out for her arrest due to evading parole. I very nearly dialed the non-emergency line to report the car stolen after this. I should have, considering she was driving it while effed up and could have killed someone. But my father had begged me to give her a chance. Either way, it ended up with the same result. A week later, the car was found abandoned and was impounded just like her previous car. She was picked up as well and learned that she was going to real prison this time instead of a short stint in a youth correction center. She's still there now and will be for the next several years. I may not have put her there myself, but I unloaded a burden onto her and got what should have rightfully gone to me back first. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you next
one. Abnormal ka, makikay, oy. Ano bang pinagagawa mo dyan? Diyan, ibik-bik. Buang, kikay. Atay pa. Abnormal na si kikay. Papa Jing, 12, 13, 14, 15. Papa Jing, apat. Talang ha, apat kay Papa Jing. Apat. And then, Salit Ribino, 16.
What?
No, I was read here. No, Papa Jing, 16. Sino pa ba yan? Jonathan, 15, 16. Nahabol din. Jonathan. Sunod. Ate Miles. Ate Miles. Sixteen, 17. Dan 16. Kikay. Ano pinagagawa mo ba, Kikay? Ha? Ano? Toyo? Ano sabi mo? Ano nilagay toyo? Diyan, bira sa smoke. Dan 17, ang bilis ah. Bakit tahimik ka ngayon, Bakikay? Sinibik. Dito ko ibaba yung kay Ate Julie. Kasi ano eh.
Where we share stories of people conforming to the letter, but not the spirit of request. And today we have 3 great stories. So subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story. As a telephone CSR, I went from being a rookie all-star that the customers love to a jaded, malicious compliance a-hole in 4 short months. The second story. Karen always stops me after I use self-check. The third story.
Bababa ko muna si Ate Julie dito.
On to the first story. Metrics. You get what you measure. Back in the 1989, I worked for a very large telephone company as a customer support representative, CSR, in their billing call center. My first day after completing the required 2 weeks of training, I received 4 customer commendations. I received a total of 12 commendations in my first week on the job. This was unheard of. Most CSRs got maybe 2 to 3 a month. Not bragging. Just
Dan, 1, 2, 3. Sige,
and at only
sige.
18 years old, I really like getting a positive attention for doing my job well. So my 30-day evaluation rolls around, and my supervisor takes me aside, and the conversation goes something like this. I will be G. SB will be my supervisor. SB. Blue, you've received over 20 customer commendations in your first month. That's outstanding. Your attendance is perfect. You've never been late coming back from your breaks. She then shows me a printout with several columns of numbers, metrics, but with one of mine circled in red. There's only one problem. You're spending too much time in the work state. G. Okay. What is work state and why is that bad? SB. Work state is when you make yourself unavailable for calls. You're only supposed to use it for restroom breaks, or when the customer terminates the call before you can complete your work. Says here you're averaging over 70 seconds of
Yung
work
number
state on every
17
call.
pang 18 sa
That
Ate
number should
Julie.
never be any higher than 20 seconds. G. Oh, well, the reason why is that once I understand the customer's problem and we agree upon a solution, I thank the customer for calling and then make myself unavailable while I do
Ako na lang ilagay.
to fix their problem. SB. Well, see, we can't have your
Papading
metrics so
6.
far outside the realm of what every
1,
other
2,
CSR does. Just keep the
Yeah,
customer
what's
on the
one?
line while you do the updates, so that this metric looks as good as your other metrics. G.
Mabul si
That
Papa
doesn't make any
Jean.
sense.
1, 2,
The
3.
customers really
1, 2,
appreciate that I'm able to
3.
quickly
1,
understand
2,
their
3.
problems, and I'm able to get them fixed quickly. You're asking me to take up more of their time when it isn't needed. SB, I know, sweetie, but please, I don't like having to explain to my boss why your metric is so outside the norm. G, starting to slow burn inside. Yeah, okay, I guess. For the next 30 days, I kept the customer on the line while I completed every aspect
Ito
of the
na po,
call.
papading. Yung kay Ate Julie, yung ano.
Hang up and then place myself into work state doing absolutely nothing, but staring at the second hand of my watch for exactly 20 seconds. Then I would take the next call. Fast forward to my monthly review at 60 days. SB, Blue, I see that your work state number is now 20 seconds, which is good. But see this number here? You can see that your average call time is now just over 310 seconds. We really don't want to see that number above 300 seconds. Gee, seething at the lunacy. You told me not to let the customer hang up until I was finished doing the work. SV, I know, but see if you can make your work a little bit faster. It's only 10 seconds per call. I know you can do it. Gee, fine. You want 300 seconds? I'll give you 300 seconds. Yes, I'll make sure that number is not more than 300 next month. SV, that's the spirit. For the next 30 days, I made sure that every single one of my calls took up exactly 5 minutes. As in, if the customer was needed to be
17
transferred to
games.
another department, I would put them on hold for 4 minutes and 45 seconds, then come back on the line and say, transferring you now. I kept a stopwatch with a lap timer set up, so that I would know exactly when my 5 minutes were up. Then I would go into work state for 20 seconds. Then I would take the next call. Time for the 90-day review. SV. Okay, I'm not sure what exactly is happening here, but I see your productivity is really starting to plummet. And we've noticed you haven't had a commendation in over a month. Gee, I'm not sure I understand. My work state and my average call handling time are both within the expected values. I can see that you track the number of calls each day as well. What's the expected range for that metric?
9,
SV
10.
gets a strange look on her face. Realization is dawning. We want to see everyone averaging at least 100 calls a day. Gee, but I'm averaging close to
18.
110. What's the problem? SV, in your first 2 months, you were taking over 130 calls a day. Gee, but I'm still within your expected metrics, correct? SV, yes, but we already know you can do better. Gee, slow burn continues. Okay, maybe I don't understand how this is calculated. Are all calls included in all metrics? SV, actually no. If a call lasts under 15 seconds, we assume it's a transfer or escalation, and it doesn't get included in either your work state or average call times. But it's still included in the total calls metric. That's why it seems like we're asking you to take more calls in a day than is possible. The transfers don't take any time to complete, but still get included in your total calls. Gee, okay, I'll see what I can do to increase my total calls per day. So for the next 30 days, same drill as last month. Every call takes me exactly 5 minutes to complete, followed by 20 seconds in work state. Only now I kept a notepad next to me and kept tick marks for every call I handled. When I got to my expected 100 calls for the day, every single call that came in after that, I would immediately transfer to the supervisor escalation line, not even bothering to ask the customer for their phone number or why they were calling. The line was supposed to be reserved for irate customers or other issues that were beyond our authority to deal with. But unless I logged into the customer's accounts, the supervisors had no way to tell who escalated the call. I did this exactly 100 times each day at the end of my shift. When I got to 100 of these calls, I logged out of the ACD, call tracking system, and would go hide in the bathroom or break room for about 20 to 30 minutes until the end of my shift. At my next evaluation, day 120, it was my supervisor and the VP for the entire call center, 3 levels up, who were at the table. They had the metric sheet for each of the last 4 months spread out in front of them. They handed a copy to me. VP, Estes informed me of the previous conversations you've had with her. She also informed me that every time you discuss a specific metric, the next month that metric would be exactly the minimum number required. Nothing more, nothing less. She's also informed me that at your last meeting, you were requested to increase your average number of calls per day. Gee, that's correct. Did I not achieve the goal this month? VP losing patience. You exactly doubled the number of calls to 200 per day. Nobody has ever taken 200 calls in a day, let alone average that over a full month. In fact, I had the IT staff go back over and pull the metrics for the last 2 months.
Supervisor is in effect. Now to activate, regulate, and strengthen your immune system.
Not only are your averages for each metric exactly the minimum acceptable value, every single day is exactly that value. That's simply not possible. I believe you somehow hacked into our ACD system and have modified the tracking entries for yourself. Gee, impressed that they assume I have elite hacker skills, but feigning ignorance. I've not falsified any records. You guys asked me to focus on specific metrics, and I did. I don't see what everyone is so upset about. S. Blue,
Salamat,
I'm honestly
Joey.
not sure that this is going to work out. Aren't you happy? G. Honestly, not really since we started focusing on metrics. Sorry, this is too long already. I'll leave out the drama over the ACD vendor, Rockwell/Collins, having to fly someone in to try to find out how I was hacking their system to do this, in the popular culture sense of the word. Their threats of termination, the ultimate involvement of our union steward, or the final screw you I left behind my last day. Anyway, I lasted about 4 weeks after that, just enough time for me to start looking for another job, and for me to get my 2 weeks notice once I found it. I've matured significantly since I had this job. Honestly, I now feel bad for just about everyone, including the customers that I undoubtedly peeved off there at the end. But I never forgot a very important business lesson that I still use when managing employees today. You get what you measure, but are you measuring the right things? The second story is, you want my receipt? Here you go, it's all yours. Short story about your favorite Arkansas-based retailer involving myself and a coworker. So I've been going to the same Walmart for about 5 years. The wife and I get groceries on Sunday. Then I usually stop during the week for an energy drink or Pepsi and a snack for lunch. Wonderfully healthy, I know. Well, after getting self-checkouts a few years ago, we now have a Karen who's replaced the smiley face sticker person and stops folks who don't use self-checkout to scan their receipt and a random item, as far as I can tell, to make sure they paid. For reference, she stands about 10 feet directly in front of the self-check area and always stops me after I use self-check, which is basically infuriating because 1, I never see anyone else get stopped when self-check. 2, she watches me wait and pay for my stuff. 3, I only ever have 2 to 3 items in one hand and a receipt in the other, no bag. So it's like Sherlock level logic to figure out what's going on. So I hatched a brilliant plan to hand her my receipt and keep walking. At first she looked confused, and I would say things like, "Have a great day," and smile, while she's chasing me down with a receipt for $3.23 for a low-carb monster and a bag of chips, to which I would reply, "I don't need it," and not take the receipt from her. This went on for about a good 2-month period, until she realized if she did so much as acknowledge my existence, she would be left with a receipt to dispose of. As funny as this is, it gets better. Last Sunday, my wife and I got a bunch of stuff and went through a regular line at this Walmart. As we're getting close to the door, my wife, who has no idea of how I've been handling receipts to Karen, tries to hand this lady our receipt, to which she's ignored, like completely. Can't see who Harry Potter cape ignored by Karen. And she's looking pretty confused. As soon as we hit the double door lobby, my wife says, "Wow, that's so strange. She always wants my receipt," to which I start laughing probably too hard, and she figures out something is up. She regularly remarks on my ability to make friends wherever I go. On a positive note, she may not want to take me to Walmart tomorrow. The last story is, you won't listen when I say you should let me train the next intern? Fine. Twice. So this happened twice at 2 different companies. When I did my first internship, I was supposed to just help another guy do his tasks and launch a new pilot project. However, a couple of months into it, he wasn't that interested in the project or the position overall, so he just gave me the project to manage. By then, I was much more experienced using it than he was, so I just kept managing the project by myself. 2 months before my internship ended, the guy left the position, and my manager gave me his tasks, which I did because he had taught me how to do them. By then, I thought I was irreplaceable enough that my manager would just hire me, and 1 month before the internship ended, I asked her if she was planning on hiring me. She told me she wasn't because I didn't have my master's yet, so she couldn't hire me. I told her I could do everything that was required. Why did I have to have a master's? She just told me she wouldn't hire me. Fine.
Kahapon yan kay yung 19. Kami ng anak ko, nung pumunta kami immigration. Naiwan ako doon sa immigration, siya yung nakapunta doon sa ano kasi wala akong helmet. Yakay.
She still hadn't hired anyone new. The Monday of my last week, the new person comes in, and my manager asks me to teach her what she should do, and gradually hands over my tasks.
Ikay
I gladly
1980.
comply, and the new girl immediately understands the project, which by then had grown, and the other tasks were too complicated and technical, and couldn't be taught in 1 week. She talks to our manager, and she dismisses us. I leave the internship and get a call the following week from my manager, asking me if I could stay 1 more month paid, just to teach the new girl. I say I can't. She offers to hire me. I say I don't want it. The salary was lower than my new internship, and I was fed up with her. A few weeks later, I learned that the new girl was
Ayan,
quit,
chismis
that the
pa sa
project had
GC.
been canceled,
Hindi
and my
natuloy
new manager had
nakapag...
been put on a career
Ganda.
reevaluation program. AKA, she was probably
Buwang ka
my
kasi.
next internship was similar.
Kung ano-ano kasi mga pinagagawa mo, yakay ka.
Halfway through the internship, I'm managing the project, which had also grown to include a new sub-project, and was doing all of its reporting and helping some other people as well. My manager tells me he's planning on hiring me, so I keep working.
Dalhin mo yung kinainan ni Papa mo doon.
However,
Pati yung kape ayaw ko ubusin yan.
our
Sobrang
team
tamis.
is used with another, and we get a new director. She has a clear bias for the other team, which she used to manage. And that
Tamis
team
ang
also
kape.
has an intern they
Tinimpla
want
ni
to hire.
Carlitos.
They can only hire one of us. She decides on the other one. Fine. 1 month until my internship ends and nothing. I get a new job lined up as a consultant at the same company.
Maraming
And my
sili dyan.
manager, poor guy, is doing everything he can to keep me.
Oh, tingnan mo sa
Our
oven.
director keeps refusing, and 2 weeks before the end, she hires a new intern. I start training him, but it's too technical, and by then I was doing things for other members of the team, so I had to train them in those as well. I lead the team, but since I'm still at the same company as a consultant, they can still reach me through Teams. The week after I leave, my ex-director messages me and asks me if I can spend
Wala.
an afternoon training the new intern. I say sure. If you're willing to pay my company's rate. She says she can, but she doesn't have the budget.
Papading.
Well then, isn't that too bad? I hope you enjoyed the stories. Have a good one.
Mamaya, manguha tayo sili doon sa kabilang bahay, James. Chismosa kasi. Giatay ka! Chismoso kasi to si Mayang. Ikaw nga dyan eh. Giatay. Bakit? Saan ka kakain? Bakit aakyat sa taas? Kumain ka dyan? Ba? Hindi mo na pahihingain yung laptop mo? Baka hindi abot 24 hours yan. Sira na yan. Parang na ano tong buwang na to ah. Asan si Banji? Nandoon sa kabilang ano? Kabilang ibayo. Hindi ko yun masyadong pinapapansin kaya nagigigil ako. Ganda ng damitan kita yan sa TikTok. Si Banjilen? Nako. Iwan na lang. Nagalitan ko yung kagahapon bago ako umalis papunta immigration. Kasi hindi maganda yung ginagawa. Carlitos, huwag ka humiga dyan sa higaan ni Papa mo kasi alam mo, bakla, lumipat ka doon ang sigaan ko ka dyan. Kasi pag higa dyan, tigas talaga ng bungon to eh. Pagalitan ka, tingnan mo. Doon ka humiga oh. Ikot-ikot na Elizabeth, huwag ka humiga dyan kasi pag oras na gusto niyang manok, magagalit na naman yan. Diyan kayo natutulog sa, kuyat kayo sa gabi eh.
Clear and concise. No one has time these days for huge prospects. Your goal is to get to point.
Aba, naging 29 din yung
Grammarly really helps with this.
Diyos ko. Giatay 29.
To increase readability. It also identifies certain parts that are most important to my reader to comprehend and suggests
Sana all malalaki mga views. Ay, nako.
So subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story. Inspector didn't want to...
Andyan pa ba kayo? Nang-stack up nata kayo dyan.
Our mechanic of 15 plus years decided he wasn't going to give my mom back her truck. The third story. Scoping company completely botched my pipe job. And the first story is punching my...
Ay, mayroon pa palang isa.
reflexes.
Giatay.
Part 1.
Nalimutan ko. Yung kanyang 50WH.
Yes, you know the one. There are more than shops than McDonald's there. Everyone goes there. It's like a cult. I used to work at a corporate store to train new franchisees and retrain old ones that were cutting corners. Yikes. In addition to our regular operations. I used to train franchisees how to operate the back-end baking shift from 4 a.m. until noon. I loved my work. I loved meeting new people. I loved showing them the process. I loved my company. I loved my 2 managers.
7 minutes na. Pasugod premier mayang mamaya kay Loneliness. 7
Mary
minutes.
was a district inspector, and she had it in for all
Ay,
the
ano?
staff.
Teka,
All the staff
tingnan
would see
ko.
a red car in the parking lot and scramble to tidy up. She loved coming in when we were slammed, with the lineup out the door, tables needing to be cleared, donuts flying off the racks, and everyone just trying to keep up. Never mind taking a break. People used to freak when they saw her car pull up. She was slim with big curly orange hair and a mean streak. She was an in-house inspector that worked for corporate, and she seemed to really enjoy her job.
Kasi si Kuya doon na yung premier.
She enjoyed her work
Premier.
until she came into the kitchen when I was working, which was most days.
4 minutes
She
na ngayon.
hated it when I worked. Because I had to train people all the time, I had to keep a clean kitchen with everything stocked, because it needed to be ready for the next shift where I trained people. It was also in great shape because the cleaning and refilling and prepping and operating the kitchen
Done,
was
19.
what I did with the franchisees while training them. It more or less took care of itself. It also didn't hurt that I was a perfectionist.
Oo, 4 minutes pa.
Like that at all.
Ilalagay, naka-ready na dito.
I think she was a little obsessed with it. She would go to great lengths to catch me screwing up. Even my managers, who were regularly rotated through other stores, felt bad for me. They said they'd never seen that happen to anyone else like that. Mary would get irritated when she couldn't find much to report, but because she never wanted to give a perfect pass, oh, she would look. She would pull out heavy, old, out-of-circulation mixers from the bottom shelves.
4
Run
minutes
her
pa.
hands along the back to check for dust. Huh, Mary, I wiped out SH on the regular. It must have made her blood boil. She would always come down to docking me points for my shoes. My shoes were dark navy, not black, and therefore were not uniform compliant. I couldn't afford to buy work shoes, making minimum wage and all.
Tagal naman, sabi ni Ayang.
She would constantly point them out, tell me how I should know better, imply that I'm lucky she didn't pursue it, dock me the points, and drop off the paperwork to my manager with a smug smile. Bonus if she could find a cobweb. That would be in the report too. I hated her. She almost brought me to tears when she'd do this. She knew how proud I was and how seriously I took my job. She just couldn't let me have that. I was also so confused by it, because I had no negative history with her. I really took it personally. At the time, I was also the type of person that would beat myself up over things, and was really critical of myself. So this put a lot of fuel on the fire. Maybe she felt I would make her look bad if she gave me a perfect score. I'll never know. Part 2. I had been taking Taekwondo at that time. I had an athletic background when I initially started, so I advanced quickly and was competing quite early for my belt level. During class, we would do our warm-ups, patterns, and finish by partnering up and practicing holds, throws, self-defense, sparring, etc. Occasionally, when new students wanted to try a class, this is where they would join, so that they could interact with other students. We didn't rubberneck to see who came in. Our instructor would just announce it and choose someone to pair with them. A lot of students didn't like partnering with newbies because it was boring. Although I would have rather trained with someone more advanced than me, I didn't mind being patient with a new student. My instructor welcomed Mary to the class and directed me to pair up with her. I turned around and holy SH, there she was. I think we both had the same thought. Oh God, is this really happening right now? This is totally happening right now. Ah! It was surreal, like I was dreaming. I just kept staring
Done
at her.
21, done 21, done thumbs 20.
During class, I got to show her how to defend against an attack from the rear, where you drop down to lower your center of gravity. Rear elbow strike the assailant in the gut. Grab their arm and use your leverage to flip them over your shoulder and onto their back on the hard ground in front of you.
James.
Then kneel on them to pin them while striking them in the solar plexus. I demonstrated that to her over and over and over.
Joy.
I might also add that I killed her with kindness while doing so. Not just because it was so enjoyable to witness, but because I'm not the type of person to be mean in that situation anyway. I encouraged her to demonstrate on me too, and would correct her and have her try again, which let's be honest was completely ineffective, because she didn't know what she was doing. I would say things like, almost got it, Mary, you just need to lower yourself like this.
Done
so you can flip the attacker
21.
like this. Wham, on her back again.
Done 21.
That was a good 30 minutes, but I guarantee it felt longer for her. The day after I ran into work screaming, you will never believe what happened last night. My managers were giddy like children, and it was high fives all around. Mary came back for a few more classes,
Yun.
which was shocking.
Ayos.
My instructor paired us every time. I think he saw how enthusiastic and patient I was with her, and wanted to foster that relationship. Every morning after Taekwondo, my managers would want the updates immediately.
Ay, nako.
How was it? Tell me all about it. What did you get to do to her this time? Do an impression of her. Show me what her face was like. Mary dropped out after about 4 weeks, maybe less. It was a grand effort, Mary.
Alas 5 pala
I rarely
magano.
even saw her at my work anymore.
Umpisa yung bunutan kay Sister Lolo.
Sometimes I thought I saw a car driving out of the parking lot, and my managers would tell me that yes, that was her, and my report would be just left on the table in the back. She never docked points on me again. That SH was perfect. The next story is auto repair shop shut down. I'm the kind of person who lets a lot of things slide, but when I feel wrong, I come down hard on those that wronged me. There was a small mechanic shop a few blocks away from where I live, ran by a man who I'll call Steve. My mom had been going to this mechanic.
Oh, doon muna tayo guys, doon muna tayo kay sa live, sa premiere kay Sis Donna guys. Nandoon ako guys. Titignan ko kayo doon.
He offered to get me a car he had sitting on his lot for a while. Around this time, my mom was wanting to also fix up her 1989 hard-body Nissan pickup truck, valuable due to its dependability, as it had been just sitting around for about a year. I don't remember the exact timeline, but it would be safe to say my mom brought him the truck, and he offered to get me the car around the same time. For a few months, he always had an excuse for why the truck wasn't ready yet, or why he hasn't gifted me the car yet. When it came to the car, it was always something like, the car's just been sitting around for a long time, and needs work done on it. I'll get to it when I can. And when it came to my mom's truck, I've been really busy around the shop, so I haven't gotten to it yet. Or I'm waiting on the parts to come in. Since we had trusted P, we didn't think much about it, since we knew his shop had a very good reputation in the area and was always busy. Also, I mean, he was giving me a car for free, so I wasn't going to keep pushing him for something he doesn't have to do. I would estimate this started around November, and it wasn't until
On the way. Sige,
February that
salamat.
it started to get out of hand. My
Ayun,
mom
nakita
started
na kita.
contacting me
Ano?
at least once a week to see when the truck would be ready, but was given an excuse each time. At this time, I knew I wasn't going to get a car from him anymore, but I wanted my mom to get her truck back. I researched who to make a complaint to if you have an issue with an auto shop. In California, there's a department called the Bureau of Automotive Repair, BAR, who licenses and governs all auto repair facilities. In the process of making a complaint, I had to look up the auto shop's license. This is when I landed on a gold mine. His license had expired the previous September, so I threw the report out the window for now and decided to confront him. Now, I've never been confrontational. When I must confront someone and get heated, I start having an anxiety attack with a shaking, high-pitched voice in the whole 9 yards. So imagine a 17-year-old with a high-pitched, shaky voice screaming at this guy to get my mom her car back. He kind of brushed me off, and I didn't get anywhere. But as I was walking out, I said to him something along the lines of, "Have fun with the bar when they find out you don't have a license," and walked out. The next thing I did was report him to the bar for the whole situation, including him still operating when he shouldn't be. Over the next week, my mom was communicating with the person assigned to the case, and within a couple weeks, we were marching back into Pete's shop to pick up the truck. After a very awkward situation, where my mom paid for the service was done, and I was standing behind her still trying to act like I'm in control, we left with the truck, and we're good to go.
Wala pa pala
I
akong
don't really
jacket.
know the exact timeline of when everything happened after this, but I know I passed the shop a couple of months later and saw that it was closed. His Yelp is obviously reported as closed, and I found a citation posted on the bar's website that corroborates the timeline from my memory. When my mom and I look back on this, we're dead set that he was trying to steal my mom's truck. I don't know if he thought he was going to call it a trade, the truck for a car, or if he was just saying that to kill time. All I know is that he was refusing to return it until we had to take it higher than him. We were pretty sure he was trying to take the truck one way or another, but didn't know his reasons or plans with it. Anybody who knows about old pickup trucks knows that a 1989 hard-body Nissan pickup truck is a great truck and can run forever. She's owned the truck since 1991, and it's currently at 250,000 miles, while running the same engine and major components. She still gets offers for cash on the spot to this day. And the last story is, ended a lucrative business relationship because of an incompetent racist owner. This happened over the course of the last week. I hired a company to correct a big sinkage in my basement. They come in and drill holes and spray industrial foam under the floor to level it. About a week ago, they sent a guy over to locate all the pipes and scope them for damage. Then about 3 days ago, the foam guys show up and get to work. About halfway through, they stop and call me into the basement. There's water running along my baseboards, and they're afraid they hit a pipe. They call the owner of the scoping company to come over and rescope the pipes. He does and finds massive corrosion running all through it.
Tagig lang pala
I
yung
asked him why they
Christina.
didn't find that on the first scope, and he tells me they weren't looking for damage. They were just locating the pipe. This makes no sense to me, because you don't need to put a camera into a pipe to locate the pipe. Then he gives me the sales pitch. It's going to cost between $4,000 and $6,000 to fix it, but he can get a crew of cheap Mexicans out there who don't pull permits and can do it for much less. He says plumbers will rip you off. He used to be a plumber. I ask, "Oh, and you rip people off?" I tell him no thanks on the labor. I'll call my basement company back and let them deal with it. During the course of the conversation with the scoping company owner, he tells me that they do about 100 of these a week for the basement company. Scoping's $99. Cleaning is $125. At least $10,000 a week. Probably $500,000 a year they make from the phone guys. So here's the rub. When things started to go pear-shaped, I do what I used to do back in college, and I had to have conversations with police. Put my phone in my shirt pocket and started to record. No wiretapping laws in my state. That's right, I've got this guy soliciting illegal labor to me in full living digital color. The next day, the basement company sends out some licensed and bonded plumbers to fix my pipes for $0 because of the failure to locate the pipes. That's right, the scoping company marked the pipe 4 feet away from where it actually was. The scoping company not only didn't find any damage, they didn't even find the pipe. They did literally nothing. The basement plumbers do an excellent professional job. They built a scoping
Malabong
company
lang
for their
pala to
time.
si G.
This morning, the phone guys came back to finish the job,
Somewhere
and I
down
told
the
them
road.
about the sleaze ball that they
Ang cute
contracted.
kay Ruby ng
I played
Rizal.
the audio for them with the guy trying to sell me
Ang
on cheap
galing.
Mexican illegal labor. Half the phone crew is Hispanic. They are not
17,
pleased.
dan Ma'am
The crew
Julie,
chief tells me, "We're never
2021.
doing business with that company ever again. I'm calling our owner right now."
Dan Premier, Joy, Chanibik
Explicitly says there to look for damaged pipes, vindicating me once more. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good one.
Papa G. Sunday. 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 Bakikay. Chanibik. Abay, tinakasan talaga ako ng mongoloid, oh. Salamat. Tapos na ako naglista sa inyong lahat. Yes, nalista ko na, Papa Jing. Nalista ko na. Ay no, nandoon ka sa taas, oh. Nalista na, Joy. Nalista ko na kayong lahat. Chani Bekbek, si Joy, si Papa Jing, si Sally, si Bakikay, Chani Bekbek. Nalist check ko niya. Maraming salamat sa inyo, ha. Hindi kayo nagsasawang pumunta sa mukha ni Mayang. Ano na lang tayo, 2 minutes more na lang para magtapos na. Para eksakto lang akong 2 hours. 2 minutes lang, guys. Bigyan nyo ako 2 minutes lang. Oo. Nalista ko si Koy, nahabol mo. Nakitinignan ko kasi kayo doon, nandun ako eh.
When Bob denied me to change my clothes anywhere else
Param,
so John started to try to deny me to work and kept Bob busy while I changed my clothes. Back to the main story. This happened when the building was close to finish. I was cleaning inside of that building.
2 minutes lang, guys, ha? 2 minutes. Maka 2 hours man lang ako. 2 minutes full.
Me looking around
Ayun!
like this. There's tools all over the place. You should keep this place clean. This is a construction site.
Andun ako. Yes, James, nilista ko kayo lahat. Nabasa ko kayo doon.
Yes, I need you to collect all the tools that are not
Nandoon ako, hindi nyo ako nakita. Nalista ko nga pati si Jonathan eh.
that are not in use right now. Like take them outside of the storage so people need to walk there to get them again.
Yung galing dito kanina sa akin, tapos pumunta doon kasi si Kuya Duna, nilista ko na.
Then Bob walked off. Just walked off. First I was mad, but then I thought, why not? So I started to collect.
Hinabol ko na lang yung dito na hinabol ni si Kuya Sally.
I took your hammer and walked to the outside. I even found a wheelbarrow that I'd use to take even more tools in one trip. I took all the tools to storage. I got different subcontractors' tools for different piles, so no tools were lost.
Ay, ayun ang hindi ko nalista si Sis Willen.
Stopped me, very puzzled. What are you doing? Reuse these tools. Me. I know. I'm sorry if this makes things hard for you, but Bob told me to collect all of the tools that are not in use right now. So I do. I'll go talk to Bob just told me to let you do your job.
Ban! Mega love, shout out to you. Anong meron? Hehehe. Patapos na ako, papunta na ako dyan sa kabila. Nag-live lang ako saglit.
And of course, I didn't take those tools again. I had to explain myself.
Guys, tusukan nyo nga guys. Yan guys. Si Papa Jing guys.
But all the workers were nice, so they just took more parts.
Si Ivan. Maraming salamat, Van.
Soon, Bob started
Patapos na ako, 2 minutes na lang.
and he wanted answers. Bob, where are all these files? Workers put them up.
Mag-alisan na sila, oh.
Before I have time to answer, John interrupted.
Bye-bye na, guys! Bye.
You did such a good job.
Eksaktong 2 minutes na. Bye-bye! See you next time, guys!
Why didn't you stop him? You told me not to. Me. And because of that, I've been running, gathering tools. I've not done anything else.